Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. It's time for a look at episode 8 of Discovery Season 3. This is Sanctuary.
Don't worry guys, you're all safe here at the Trekyard Sanctuary. Stuart, I have no idea what you think. Some people watch your first reaction. I obviously am asleep and I wait until this morning and then I say, Stuart, what do you think? And then I hear. I have no idea what anyone thinks. What do you think of this episode?
I was underwhelmed. The Georgiou stuff was pretty good. The stuff on the ship was good, just in general. I even think Tilly did a pretty good job as, like, EXO. She's more like a yeoman, though, honestly. Unfortunately.
Well, it is TOS time, so yeomans were a big thing then.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Way different than an EXO.
Yeah, I'm just not at all making sense. Yeah. It's just there is that. If they're trying to be clever about that.
So the stuff with Stamets and Adira and Georgiou and everything on the ship was great. This other stuff, I mean, his brother was fine. It was nice meeting him. Kind of a dick at first,
obviously,
but turns out to be a nice enough guy. Yeah, Jose on a stick. You know, Jeff Dunham's little puppet with it's green and it's got a big chin on the view screen there. She was kind of hideous. And it's funny because it's supposed to be the same Orion woman. The one on the view screen has, I don't know if it's just the way it was filmed, but like I said, a huge chin, weird hairline. But you see her in live action for the other shots, much more tapered chin, different hairline altogether. It's way higher. I don't know if it just filmed on different days, but it was very noticeable.
Well, it was obviously distorted because it was actually the effect they used with the book in the first episode. It was the replicable matter view screen now for some reason. It's great how each different race either communicates classic view screen, new view screen, or hologram person. Why all three? It's weird.
So yeah, I wasn't impressed with her and that whole storyline. Like, sure, the chain's running out of dilithium. Cool, I guess. The Star Wars battle and attacking the planet was kind of dumb to me. Seeing the ship from, I mean, if the ship goes down far enough in the atmosphere, it's a big enough ship, you should be able to see it. But there's no way he'd be able to see his ship and go, "Is that my ship?" That's just silly.
That was a classic scene where the CGI people and the actor didn't have any idea what each was looking at.
Yep, exactly. So that was very silly and just dumb. Yeah, the Star Wars battle, the Detmer thing, not great, in my opinion. I mean, Reese got a line or two, which was great. So good for him. The kid was kind of annoying. It's like that somebody just literally brought their kid on set that was not an actor. And, ooh, the lizard guy. And then the whole line of you can go peel something off his face was probably talking about the prosthetics. And then like, hey, that's good. We're going to add a line in at the beginning saying that he's shedding. That's what it felt like to me. It felt tacked on and kind of dumb.
Even though they explicitly said he was locked in his quarters so that he couldn't shred. So why is he in a corridor?
I think that part was filmed, and then it's like, oh, peeling a piece of his face off. That's a funny line. We'll keep that. And he's a lizard, so we'll say that he's shedding and add that into the beginning of the episode. So yeah, overall, not that great. I was actually surprised it was filmed or directed by Jonathan Frakes, because his are usually much better than this.
Didn't feel like him at all.
No, it didn't. And that was very evident. This was not a great episode for me. It was a filler episode.
They revealed the big bad of the season. And you say it's a filler episode, but they revealed the big bad. It's not filler, is it?
Oh, yeah. The other thing. The whole distress call from inside the nebula, which seems almost telegraphed that it's going to be the original Discovery somehow. It's a Federation distress signal. But anyway, what do you think? I just was underwhelmed and not impressed with this episode.
Yeah, so if I was to say everything involving the planet wasn't very good and I didn't enjoy, that's most of the episode, which is a shame. The entire A-plot, I didn't care. I thought the villain lady was not good casting. I don't know what they were going for. She wasn't scary. She wasn't villainous. She didn't have any sort of screen presence. Like, compare especially to the guy from episode 2 who wanders in, steals the entire show. This lady has if she's the big bad, she is so flat. She provides no menace of any kind. I mean, I like that she's at least not mwahaha, I'm evil, but she's the most just bad casting. And the brother, again, piss poor casting. He added nothing to it. I thought he was boring to watch on screen, didn't give any nuance, wasn't right for the part, and I wasn't interested. I did like the fact that, we said last week, people calling out, they went to Book's planet, which I was like, well, that's absurd. But at least they called out the distance involved, that at least you can still go there as long as you show how far it is. And 2 weeks at maximum warp, but now it's Discovery's new maximum warp, which is now 3200's maximum warp. So it is still...
And a 50% chance of being able to use a transwarp tunnel. What? Or use transwarp. Like, what? That needs to be expanded on. Say, what?
Because those aren't good odds, but I mean, in emergency, it's still 50-50. I mean...
And why? What's the explanation for that? Anyway.
What, does every ship's been given transwarp with that 50% chance of being destroyed? Why is it... What? Yeah, that was... I mean, it sounded cool. Like, I've got a twin mind about the ending. The way... there's a locust, fine. And it's bad, fine. And they have to have the lady give them a cure, fine. Okay, fine. Fair enough, whatever. Then the fact that they can cure the entire problem of the planet they've been dealing with for like 80 years, they said, or like 50, like decades. They can cure it in under 5 minutes. Having heard about it, got a solution 5 minutes, is absurd, and in the episode it plays really, really silly. That said, though, the caveat being, they've said explicitly we haven't seen a Federation starship in also decades. So if it takes a science ship Federation to do it, and if they can never get there, then I mean, it's easy. They just didn't have the tech to do it. So it's like it seems really silly in the episode, but yeah, maybe it was an easy problem.
There are a lot of maple leaves on those trees and on the ground.
Yeah, and a weird choice. When the lady's bombing the planet, they like doing their petrol explosions, but there's clearly a force field on. So it feels like, oh, they're bombing the planet. She's like, I'll destroy 10 things of land. And I'm like, no, you hit the shields the entire time until the end. Like, and then when they hit the ground, they're literally little petrol explosions, which don't look as if they're destroying the land.
I called that was from the ship, and you said, I hope not.
Well, it's silly. And they also define photon torpedoes, which, okay, you can have photon torpedoes Mark 29,000. Fine, that's not the worst issue. But photon torpedoes are pretty big. They don't cause little petrol explosions. Like, at least do, you know... But, I mean, Burnham wasn't given anything to do this week. She did solve the problem at the end, but any science officer could. It didn't involve any of her specific skills. Like, she had nothing to do this week at all. She was completely redundant, which I thought was quite interesting. Like, it changed the dynamic totally when she has no part in the story. That may have been, honestly, part of why it was less good, because there wasn't, like, a more central focus of, like, progression, because Book wasn't able to carry those scenes. His brother would let him down. The fact they went to his lovely house, even though it's meant to be this... Everything was a massive disconnect. And also they're farmers, yet they have replicators, surely. If they haven't got replicators, you think you'd get a replicator. But I know some people like real food, but everything about the planet didn't feel Star Trek and didn't feel... Especially this part of the future. The lady wasn't a good villain. The Detmer thing was okay at best, but using the manual controls being VR remotes, almost out of the box VR remotes. It's like, really? The whole point is to have manual, is the, like, this is manual, but when you use the matter thing, it's connecting to your brain. It's more manual than this. Like, you're actually going back a step.
That seemed like a Jonathan Frakes in-joke, like, activate manual steering column.
Yeah, I would have preferred, though, two literally, and they could have been two of the exact same steering columns as the bigger reference, because it can create matter. And also her saying you're a good second co-pilot, despite him not doing a single thing, and choosing not to tell her where the weapon control was until once the shield's down to 10%, which they survive on 10% shields for most of the battle. I mean, that battle was absolutely awful, and you can tell they didn't even like the ship design, because the way they shoot the ship is right on the hull. Like, you can tell that was definitely at home, didn't have any time, didn't have time to build a good model, didn't have time to make a good battle. The ship is firing weapons and causing petrol explosions on shields, not causing damage. And you're getting hit by something not causing damage. And you say shields down to 10%, but doesn't do anything. There's nothing going on. It's just noise, again.
This is how I learned how to fly, manual. Yeah, that's how all pilots learn how to fly. You learn manual, then you get the auto, aids and stuff built in as you go along. So every pilot should be able to fly manually. The Detmer thing was just ridiculous. Got her confidence back. She
was getting hit continuously, even though they also said she's only hit by 8 photon torpedoes despite getting hit to have 10% shields constantly. The script, the actors, and the CGI did not communicate whatsoever about any of those sequences, and it felt super bizarre. The Tilly thing was interesting, but I realised after the fact she's actually better in that role, but she's a wasted character now because she was on the ship to be a qualified engineer. She can't be engineer if she's walking around Saru all day, which is absolutely what they're implying. The thing is now, Adira is now the Tilly character, because Stamets can only have one engineer protege, so they were like, damn, we've now got the Tilly role filled. Let's move Tilly into second in command because we have nothing else for her to do. Even though that's wasting her entire skill set is engineering.
the actor that plays the Andorian is her real life husband, and you can tell like when they're in a scene together, she has more confidence. I don't know if it's just a bad acting choice or because she's more comfortable with him, but she seemed more. I don't know if it's just the direction. I don't know what it was, but it seemed like there was something else going on there. So.
I think it's just a switch in her brain, like you said with Captain Killy. Like, the actress being told to be more confident because she's now second in command, so she is. So she's just, not being as ill-confident as... Because we've seen the actress in real life, like, she's not the Tilly character at all. So she's just being more of confident. So she's certainly less interesting, although I prefer her in this role, I think, because she lost all of the Asperger's-y nervousness. Like, she's lost everything that made her season 1. So I kind of like those scenes with her inside Rouge. And yeah, definitely Yeoman, not second in command.
There was also the Stamets, Adira, and Hugh thing, where Georgiou says, I'd poison your children. If I had time, I'd have kids. And then it kind of goes into the parenting role for Stamets as well. And at the end, they're very much like a parents to Adira, who never liked the pronoun she or they or her. She never felt comfortable, or they never felt comfortable with that. I'm going to screw that up many times, and it's just not.
I'm just going to call her Adira.
It's not a bad thing. Yeah. But yeah, that was actually very well done, and I got some messages from some people that we know that thought that character was very well represented as far as the they and their. Anyway, they say that it's a good representation, and they really like that fact. So I think that's great. And just for the record, guys, if I say she, I don't mean it as a bad thing. I know it's supposed to be they or the or whatever, but my mind will screw it up.
Well, it's a lifetime of using words. You can't undo it in 1 second. That's not how brains work. You got to learn things and unlearn things. No, as I've said before, the best way of dealing with these things is not from a modern perspective because we're very different to them. In the future, she asked for that, but if it's normal, he'd be like, okay, like it's not a big deal because it isn't a big deal. Same thing being transgender. It's like if you think you're transgender, you get surgery. You can become a Warp 10 comedian and back. You can swap genders easily and not, you can, there might be 50 transgenders in every ship, but they're not. They're just male and female because their surgery is advanced enough. So there isn't any, it's not a thing that happens in the sense of, ooh. So non-binary's like, okay, sure. So the fact there's no deals made of it is the best way of doing it because it isn't a big deal.
But the Hugh and Stamets thing being like parents, very parent-like, I don't know if they're going to adopt her or if they're eventually just going to want kids, but it's definitely leading to that kind of feel. Like Stamets is definitely like a father figure. So
and it's a good excuse to soften Stamets' character because they fluctuate hugely with him being hard-ass, soft, not. I think this is a more natural way of doing that. And I'll agree that the way that they played the Doctor, he was in the first 3 scenes and he was sharp. He was just knocking out the park with his dialogue. Again, when he's not being a depressed guy for an entire season, he's really good.
Yes, absolutely.
He was not fun to watch really in season 2. He's great every scene, and yeah, he's probably the only character that truly works well with the Georgiou character, and makes them both interesting. Because Burnham and her doesn't quite it's fine, but doesn't add much to them. But they spar really well, really organically.
His back and forth with Georgiou was great, and the fact that he'd already been killed, he'd already had his neck snapped by somebody, but he let her go behind his chair, grab a thing. And while she's talking about being evil, essentially, and then set the ball down in front of him on the desk, it's like I wouldn't feel comfortable with her going behind my, I'd assume I'd get my neck snapped again. But the sparring between the two of them was absolutely great. So all the the Georgiou stuff, we didn't get a lot of answers.
That's good though. That's good. It was a nice progression. Yeah.
But we did get more of a flashback that definitely was not Michael Burnham on the floor. She said San again, S-A-N, not Sun. And it's definitely a young Georgiou. So this was when you actually see her, she's de-aged and it looks great. This is probably how she became emperor or something. So yeah, I thought that was very well handled.
I mean, it was simple enough that it didn't stand out as a brilliant scene. It was okay, cool. Next step of the story. We're not, good stuff. I liked how they, because it always feels weird when they use Culber for everything. 'Cause he's not the chief medical officer. He also wasn't in Starfleet for a year because he was dead. He's not up to date with medicine per se. So I like the fact that she brought the chief medical officer actually in as we're going up the chain to the actual head of medicine. Good. We brought her in because she's the most, It's like never using Bones and only using the side nurses people. Speaking of, I like the fact they did use the new 31st century medical tech. and they kind of say they do, but the fact that it looks so much like the Discovery tech means that from our perspective it could be either, even though like there's a very slight aesthetic change to the new tech, but it's like, but it looks so different to the old tech, but it is new tech.
Then we have the song, which is part of a distress signal from
one of my favourite scenes, actually, because we called so much of it. We were right.
So Federation ship with distress call, in the nebula. Again, it's kind of telegraphing the fact that it's going to be Discovery somehow. But a lot of people on my live stream last night were like, I hope it's the Enterprise. And I'm like, no, why? It doesn't have to be the Enterprise. Anyway, I'm sure we'll do a live about that because I think that's worth talking about, how that would happen and stuff. So
I mean, my gut says it's not the Discovery just because that would be, like I said, telegraphed, and it's not particularly interesting because they would create so many like problems with that. Because you have the whole idea of the evil Federation, it looking original, the AI being AI, like so many things that don't connect. I'm hoping it's a ship from like post Picard, you know, an Enterprise E refit, etc. Something that's familiar yet whatever. That opens up a whole new story of maybe they're in stasis and you find like people from the past. They've gone the slow way around. It wasn't bad. Like there's only a few things that were bad, but didn't enjoy it particularly. And unlike the second episode where the bar stuff, the guy was so good, and the repair stuff was so bland, nothing here was particularly good.
Yeah, there was a lot of in this episode for sure. I just want to call out too, as I was watching it, where Stamets is playing the piano.
Yeah.
Message Anthony Rappin said, "You actually play the piano?" He says, "A little." And I said, "Well, looks good in the episode." He goes, "I don't know, I haven't seen it." So anyway, just wanted to point that out that he was actually playing the piano there. So
yeah, a bit of a weird scene. It's kind of like very abstract. It was like a music video from a late 2000s something. But it's like, okay, sure, why not? Whatever, random scene. I did like how Adira kept mentioning not knowing what body, like what mental state, because there should be some repercussions to not being a Trill, that it can't quite connect, because you don't get much sense of multiple, like the experience of them isn't coming through in the performance. That's all gone. It's just Adira again. But I like that disconnect of, well, can't really, and I like the fact that Grey no longer is around. I'm hoping it's not just wants some time, because that's not how the symbionts work. I'm hoping it's more like, yeah, as I get more absorbed with them all, that sort of like memory echo is just now being just part of the whole. And so I'm hoping that's more, because that felt more organic. Like, no, it's just as I'm settling, that isn't a thing. I can obviously bring them out via the ritual stuff, but not every day.
Yeah, I think he'll be back, unfortunately.
Yeah,
in a bigger role at some point, but not unfortunately. Just I like the character well enough. It's just I kind of like, it's fading into the whole collectiveness.
If what I just said makes what they're doing, that's good, but it wasn't important for this story. And I did like the fact that we only vaguely pushed the burn and whatever story, and the fact that I was right. I did say that planet isn't the source of the burn. I had a feeling that wouldn't be.
But the nebula is.
It wasn't a star map, but it was a nebula. So we're both right again. It's nice. We were able to pick that apart quite a lot. But I like there was a gentle. Although next week looks confusing to me, but this week did too. So, hey, whatever.
Anyway, guys, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else to talk about. If you guys have any thoughts, theories, comments about this episode, throw them in the comments section down below. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because we do a lot of great content every day pretty much, and a lot of lives every week. And we're always here to chat with you guys in the comment section and stuff on Facebook as well. So join the Facebook group if you can. And make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell notification icon to all, because it's all very important.
And of course, join our live tonight, where we could do this scene by scene. I will find loads of little bits, bobs, and references and things. So tune for that. That'll be a lot of fun. And if you can support and you want support, besides just your view and your like and your subscribe, you can do via Super Chat during the lives, PayPal, which is monthly, join the channel also monthly, no, Patreon's the monthly, lots of P's, or PayPal the single time at Trekyards@hotmail.com. All does make a difference, and without the direct support, we can't keep going. And you see how much content we do, when only a few of you give, so if you're one of the few that do help us, we have lots of great plans. Thanks so much.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Connor Kongs. Bye, guys.
Bye.